So today I'm here with Johnny from the channel is French Lifestyle by Johnny Benoit. Is that right?
Yes.
Obviously a YouTube channel in France. And we were having a conversation and thought it would be nice to have the conversation on our channels just about being an expat, a foreigner, whatever you want to call it, and coming back to your own country and how it changes you as a person rather than just the experience and the nuts and bolts and thinking about things like language and location. So we was just going to talk about how it is for us as people and how it changes us. Because, Johnny, do you want to tell us your expat story and where you've lived and where you live now?
Yes. Hi, everyone, first of all. So yes, I am French, but I have been an expat for a very long time. So I lived about 4 years in England. I was in the area of Newcastle, Sunderland, so northeast, very close to Scotland. And I also lived 11 years in Germany, in Frankfurt. And I've been back in France for, I don't know, maybe 6 years-ish now. So, so I've spent most of my young adult life abroad and not in France. And like you said, I think there's a lot to say about this experience.
And was that a choice, something that you'd always wanted to do, or did it happen by accident? How did you end up abroad?
Well, it's a mixed bag. The experience in England was intentional. So I've studied English at the university. So I got my master's degree in English in 2004. And it's kind of a tradition when you study languages in France at university. Your final year, you go abroad, obviously in a country related to the language you are studying or you have studied. So in my case, I was studying English. So I went to England and I was a French teaching assistant in a school for a year. Then I came back to France with my degrees and everything. And I was very naive. And I thought, I have a master's degree now, so it's going to be very easy to find a job in France. No, it wasn't. It wasn't easy to find a job, even with that experience and my diploma. But I was still in contact with the school I had been working at in England. So I contacted them and just asking, hey, by the way, do you have someone else for the next school year, another French assistant? And they said, no, so you're welcome to come back. So I went back for 3 more years in England. And so that was completely intentional. But at some point, I couldn't continue to be a teacher's assistant. My contract ended. And so I started to look at to find another job in England because I really, really liked it. I love England and British culture in general and the language. Unfortunately, again, I was too naive and I started to look for a job way too late. So I was running out of time. And so I started to send my CV all across Europe, basically, any job where languages, were involved if you were bilingual. And I ended up answering to a job offer in Frankfurt, Germany. And I had never been to Germany. My German was basically non-existent. But I said, yeah, whatever. I guess I'm young enough still. And so I flew to Frankfurt directly from England.
Oh, wow.
And I got the job in Frankfurt. And I really thought then it would be temporary. I would say there 6 months, something like this. And I ended up staying 11 years.
Wow. Wow.
Yes. So the German part was not supposed to last that long. No.
Wow. So you're at the other end. I mean, you went as a young person, you went for your studies. My channel obviously is solo 50 plus. A lot of my audience are of a demographic, certainly over 45, certainly over 50 and over 60. We're at the opposite ends, and your English is obviously fantastic. And
Thank you.
and I don't know. So we sort of, we haven't got onto it yet, but we just sort of, when we was talking earlier, talked about how being an expat, foreigner, changes you. And when you're older, you're more set in your ways. You've got a lot of, you've got a lot more behind you, a lot more of life, maybe living in the same place for a long time. So I wonder if it's any different. Yeah, we're literally at the opposite. You've gone at the beginning of your career. A lot of my audience, are moving abroad at the end, retiring abroad. So yeah, I wonder how much difference that makes. It's
Well,
interesting.
I know to give you an example on that topic. Hopefully, it's related to what you just said. Um, it's quite funny because now I'm hosting and I've created a whole YouTube channel around France, French culture, French lifestyle, blah 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 blah. So very very French centric. But before I was living abroad, so when I was in my 20s, before I left, I was not into France at all. Like I was very neutral about France, and I was even more leaning towards it's kind of boring here, it's France. Yeah, I'm French, whatever. Um, because it's my country, it's my culture, it's my language. And yes, I was aware that we had a very rich culture, literature, music, cinema. I was very aware of this. I mean, I was studying it in part, but I was not very, France is a great country. It's beautiful. We have amazing food. I was not like this at all. And I probably thought back then it's kind of a cliche. And we will probably talk about this more in depth later, but now I've completely changed. And the reason I've changed is because I've been an expat for so long. So
Mm,
it completely opened my eyes because I got to compare my own culture against other cultures, even if it's European, but still it is different. And that's something I always say. I think a lot of American people, for example, they say, "Oh, you're European." I say, "No, I'm French first. Yes, I'm
mm,
European, but if you experience, German culture and French culture, they are very different.
exactly. Yeah.
Even though, yes, we are European, but it is very different."
Yeah.
Um, yes.
So on that then, so how has it changed you, and how do you see France when you came back, and what were the differences, and what was your different opinions about your country, and what did you appreciate, if I'm sure you did appreciate, what are the things you appreciate, and maybe things that you miss that you didn't realize you missed. I don't know. Tell us what those changes are.
Well, that's going to sound like a terrible cliche, but food.
Mm,
um, and it's even funnier, I think, because I'm not a foodie. My cooking skills are very basic. But for example, when I was living in Germany, and I was looking for something specific that I was assuming was very common.
mm,
Uh, okay, to give you a very obvious example, ratatouille, which probably a lot of people will know because of the Disney movie. And over there, I couldn't find ratatouille.
mm,
But in France, ratatouille is everywhere. Like it's very basic food.
mm.
It's like buying green beans. It's on the same level. But over there, I could not find it. So that's just one example, but it made me realize things you take for granted when you live in your own culture, your own country, and you just move one country next door, literally with Germany or England, um, and then you start to realize, oh, they don't have this here. Oh, they don't have that here. So I think food um, is an easy example. Um, but if I may give maybe a more interesting example, less cliche, I remember when I came back from England the first time. So I had spent almost a year in England without coming back to France, and I flew back to Paris from Newcastle, and I was walking in the streets of Paris. And for the very first time, I noticed the way French people dress. I was like, I don't need to know to go talk to that person. I know they are French because the way they dress. And I will never forget that
Yeah.
because it's, I know for a fact it's because I had been away for a long time
Mm.
and I had gotten used to the way British people dress. I mean, English people dress in Newcastle, Sunderland, and everything. That I saw the difference. There was a clear difference.
Yeah.
And if I had not, lived abroad, I would have never noticed that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Interesting. Is there, so you mentioned the food. Does that mean, is there a real appreciation for the food? And is there anything else that you really appreciate and you just totally took for granted? And oh, it's just, I mean, you was younger, so I think it's quite different when you're younger. I think,
Yes, there are many things. The food is one, and again, I'm aware it sounds like a cliche, but I was really missing some things after a while, like after a few years. That's to show you I'm definitely not a foodie, but after a few years, you get tired of, these quote unquote foreign food.
yeah.
And like, I wish I could have a nice camembert or a nice ratatouille or whatever. Um, but on a maybe more serious topics, yes, I realized that in France, we are very lucky with architecture, for example. Our architecture is rich and old, uh, especially where I live now. I'm in Charente,
Mhm.
but it's true for a lot of places in France. We have lots of castles everywhere, lots of very old, centuries old buildings. And of course, France is not the only country that has that. But because I was living in Frankfurt, Germany, um, Frankfurt during the Second World War was completely destroyed. Like it was ruins everywhere. So if you go to Frankfurt nowadays, it it's a what I would say it's a cold city. That's my opinion. Cold in the sense that you don't feel any history. It's a lot of skyscrapers in the city center, lots of banks, lots of shops, but you barely have any, historic feeling when you are there. You feel it's concrete everywhere. It's very gray. So in my opinion, I never felt like, it's nice here in this. It's a huge city, and I like to visit it.
Mm.
Like, well, there's nothing much to visit because unfortunately everything was destroyed.
Yeah.
And of course, it's the same scenario for some places in France, but here in France, it's very easy to go see a castle or a very old church. 10 minutes away from where I live, there is an old Templar church, which is from the 12th century or something like this. And it's just there standing in a field, and you can go visit it whenever you want. So that's something to answer the question. That's something else that I really got to appreciate a lot more before that experience, that expat experience. I was blind to all that. I was taking it for granted. It was just the landscape. But now I'm like, no, it's the landscape, but behind it you have centuries of history, people, culture. And it makes me appreciate a lot more what we have. And I've traveled a lot. I've visited many different countries, and there are amazing places. I love Scotland. I went to Cyprus. It's amazing. Um, but I think it's true when we say, France has a kind of a specific aura worldwide. France has this image. It's a romantic country with literature and stuff. And I think, yes, some of it is probably exaggerated, but I do think with my own experience, some of it is true.
Mm. Yeah. I don't know, how accurate these people were, and if maybe they were, because they were talking about running sheets, so maybe they're a bit biased, but they said that France was was the most visited country in the world. Is it?
I don't know the exact figures. It could be true.
Mm.
But because I don't have the
Yeah,
figures in front of me, I
I should
cannot
have
say
looked that
yes.
up beforehand. Yeah, I might have to look that up before I post the video. But I thought, God, that took me. Yeah, but I don't know if that's because of certain parts will skew those figures, not the whole of France. Maybe just Paris brings those numbers up. But so, what about other people like your family and your friends? Did they see a change in you, or do they think, oh, you're not French anymore, or you're different, you're not one of us anymore, you're a foreigner yourself now, a foreigner in your own homeland?
Well, yeah, I mean, I remember this example when I came back from, I don't remember if it was England or Germany, but when I came back to France at some point, because usually I would come back to France maybe once or twice a year max, because I was working anyway, so I could not come back, and you have to do what you can with the little holidays or little time off you get. But I do remember, yeah, my mother or my sister telling me like I had an accent when I was speaking French,
Mm.
because when of course when I was living in England and Germany, I was speaking English all the time because I was working for an English speaking company in Germany.
Yeah.
And eventually, after a few years, I got really tired of asking all the time, do you speak English, please? I started to learn basic German. So now I can speak very basic German.
Mm.
Um, but I do remember my family telling me at some point, oh, you sound different. I don't hear it.
Yeah.
But also, speaking of languages and the way you talk, yes, I spend so much time abroad and speaking English all the time that now I think even still living in France, I probably speak more English than French.
Really?
Uh, yes.
Yeah.
And because I'm so used to it, I don't even realize that I'm speaking English. And sometimes I'm in a store and instead of saying, excusez-moi, someone I would say, excuse me, it comes out and
Yeah.
it's quite funny.
Wow. So you've obviously lived abroad in different places. So obviously I moved to Portugal, and I've met you online, met you and come across you because I'm considering moving. Well, I shouldn't say that I'm considering moving to France. I'm at very early stages of just checking out France. And but it's almost like people think, oh, well, you've chosen to move abroad now, and that's where you've got to stay. And don't think that people move around and change. And as we said at the beginning, because I think it changes you as a person, us, also what you want and what you thought you were looking for and desired changes. I don't know. I think it brings up so many changes, and I can't even remember what the point was. What I was going to say now. But it's just about, I don't know. I do know. It's like it's not so much about moving from A to B. It's just about the moving and experience in different countries and different places. I know for some people, like for example, I've obviously got a YouTube channel about starting a new life in Portugal. And for some people, their dream is Portugal. It's just Portugal, and that's their dream, and that's where they want to live, and that's where they want to spend the rest of their life. But for some people, I feel like the main point is the living somewhere else, like just living abroad, wherever that abroad country might be. And I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's sort of like, yeah, just the difference between actually just your desire is a geographical location, or your desire is just for something different and not just one different, maybe because you've done England, you've done Germany, you've travelled. So it's almost like the moving abroad thing is a thing in itself. I've just waffled on, and I hope that makes some kind of sense.
Yes, I think I know what you want to get out, and you will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think, and I get it, that you are trying to say there's a big difference between, oh, I just want to move abroad because it's different, it's exotic, it's whatever. And the other version, which is the better one, is understanding that when you move abroad, let's say you are from the US, you are from the UK, and you want to move to Italy, to Spain, to France, it's not moving to a different place. It's not from A to B. It's that B where you are going. It's a language. It's a different language. It's a different culture.
Yeah.
It's everything. It's different paperwork. It's different customs. And hopefully, I think that's what you were
Yeah.
trying to get at. And I think this is very, very important to talk about this and make people who are listening to us, watching us, millions of people, that indeed it is so important to realize that if you want to move, let's say, it's very popular, I guess, right now. A lot of American people are looking to move to Europe, France, etc. I think it's very, very important to realize that if you move to France from the US, for example, you will be moving to a completely different set of rules, of a different language, different culture. And if you don't have this in your head before you move, it's going to be much harder on you, because you cannot expect, and unfortunately I've seen people expecting that, you cannot expect a country to change for you. You have to change for that country if you want to be happy. It's simple. I know it sounds obvious, but unfortunately, again, I've met people who don't realize that they think they're going to move to France or a different country and they can continue to live the exact same way they used to. No, it's not going to work. Language, for example, you will have to learn some foreign language. If you don't, it's going to be so hard on you. And also, because I've taught French in England, so I had to convince English teenagers to learn French. And some of them were saying, well, why should I learn French? I'm never going to, move there. I have no interest in France. It's a waste of time. But I was trying to tell them, you don't realize that the language is a key to open a door, and that door is another culture. So if you can speak at least some French, you will have access to a completely new culture. You will have access to French music, French cinema, French literature, and so on. And you don't need to speak that language perfectly either. But if you stay in your bubble, what I would call the expat bubble, you come to live in France, and I know many people like this, lots of British people, for example, who are living here next door to me, but they don't speak French. They can't speak French, and they have been here for 20 years. And yes, I can understand it's very comfortable to live like this. You have your British friends around you, you have your little circle, but are you really living in France then? What's the point?
You're missing so much.
Yes.
Yeah. From what you said, I've seen the same. It's almost like people want to pick up that life, move it over there, and just plonk it there, and literally their stuff, but just everything about that life. I just want to take that life and I just want it there. And that's when I see people are really unhappy, because they literally just want to pick it up and move it. And but yeah, I don't know, it depends on people's reasons for moving, but it's the exciting part is the place that you're going to. Otherwise, what's the point? I don't know. Or maybe just from what you were saying earlier about being abroad and then coming back home, if you're a bit fed up or uncomfortable or not uncomfortable, but maybe bored, or I don't know, you're not appreciating your where you live, go abroad for a few years, then come back and you'll see where you live with a whole new appreciation, maybe. Or you might think, oh, now I know why I left this place. But I don't know. I just think it opens up so many new parts of your brain. You just see things differently. I don't know. You see things with a new set of eyes almost. I think so.
Absolutely. I think I will always be an advocate for experiencing living abroad, at least just a few months minimum. But we have a phrase in French. We say, les voyages forment la jeunesse, which means traveling shape the youth.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is very true, because again, I know I have changed a lot, for better or worse, I don't know. But I have changed a lot because I was living abroad for so much, for such a long time. Yes, I think if you travel, and not necessarily because, of course, moving abroad is a huge step. So maybe a lot of people would think or say, well, yes, I do, I'm interested in discovering Portuguese culture, but I cannot afford to move, or um, well, just come for a few weeks if you can. I think that's already so much better than just keep dreaming on your corner of the internet. Um, Once again, you will be exposed to a completely different culture, a different language, different habits, different food. Uh, I mean, what's wrong with that? I mean, it's amazing. And like you just said, when you come back to your own country, hopefully you will appreciate maybe more what you have, because you will see it in a completely uh, different aspect, under a different lens.
Exactly.
That's what happened to me, at least.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I don't. I mean, I'm quite a curious person as well. Anyway, I like to explore. I'm very curious. I know some people just have no interest on what's going on around them. They just look ahead, and I want to see what's over there. What's over there? I don't know. I'm just very curious.
Mm.
Even as much as I always talk to other people about why did you move here? Why are you here? And I just love to hear people's stories. I'm very curious about what makes people take the path they take, go to the place they choose. Yeah, I find it fascinating. But and just,
And just
yeah,
sorry, I just wanted to say something about what you just said, because I don't want to sound, or that we sound, saying, oh, it's bad if you never want to travel or you never want to move. Like I want to say it's not what we are saying. I don't think so. I perfectly understand. Like, I know people like this who have always lived in the same place and they're, perfectly happy. That there's nothing wrong with that. I understand that, you feel very comfortable where you are. You have your friends, you have your family, you have your job, whatever. You don't have this need, or this attraction to go and live abroad. That's perfectly fine.
absolutely.
And uh, that makes me think very quickly of a French book, if I
Mm,
may talk about literature for a second. Um, it reminds me of a book by Marcel Pagnol. It's actually a trilogy of books, but the first one is called Marius. It takes place, it's in 1930s or something. It's quite old, in Marseille, so in the south of France. And it's the story of a young man who works in his father's bar, but he really wants to leave, basically, because the bar is located in the harbor of Marseille. So every day, while he cleans the tables of his father's bar, he sees all the big boats, the ships leaving the harbor, and he has this pull to leave and go explore the world. And that's the beginning of the story. There's a whole story there, but I encourage people who can read French to read that book. I think it's a really fascinating story about that feeling,
yeah,
this curiosity, this will, this volition to live and go explore the world. But then eventually he does come back, and that's the rest of the story.
yeah.
But I think
That
that's
sounds good.
quite relevant to
Yeah,
our topic today.
that's good because I wonder if they do it all as an audio book, because I would really like to listen to an audio book and follow, the hard, the actual book as well as a way of learning. So I'll have to have a look. Because that would be nice. But I'm glad you brought that up. Just to say, we're not saying that everybody should want to go and explore and go abroad, but I assume we're already talking to people that do have that curiosity and do want to do want to take the leap. So, but I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, it definitely isn't for everybody, and it's not to say if you don't, then what's wrong with you? Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else that you wanted to point out and mention? And
Well, I guess overall, and that was, I guess, the point of our
Yeah,
little conversation, is to highlight an aspect of expat life that is seldom talked about, maybe
mm,
especially on YouTube, because if you type expat on YouTube, then it's stories either of people who want to move and they have questions, or people who have moved and they're explaining how the life actually works, uh, or people like me who are on the other side and like, if you want to come in, here is how you do it.
yeah,
So I think it's interesting because our both we have like two sides of the same coin maybe
yeah,
here.
yeah,
um, but and that's the reason why I think we came together today, because we had talked previously and we realized, well,
yeah,
it's quite rare to hear that side of expat life. It's how it changes you as a person
yeah,
when you do come back, to your country, and you realize, I had never noticed that before. The way people dress, what we
mm,
eat, the way the landscape looks, the architecture, whatever. Um, and I do believe that the life experience that you get when you do live abroad for some time, for a few years, you can't really put a price on it,
yeah,
because this experience, you can read books about living in a different country, you can watch YouTube videos, you can do whatever you want. It will never be as valuable as being there and experiencing so many things, like things of everyday life you will face. Um, and also, I think I said it before, but I will say it again. It's very important. A strong advice on my part is, really, if you live in a different country with a different language, nobody's asking you to speak that language perfectly, but do learn the basics. Uh, because if I can talk about my personal experience, when I moved to Germany, I knew maybe 3 words in German. And after a few years, like I said before, I got really tired of speaking English all the time to German people. So I forced myself and I went to school to learn basic German. And it made a huge difference. It made a huge difference in my daily life, because I could actually understand, when I was going to the supermarket, I could read the labels. I knew, oh, this is chicken and this is turkey and or whatever. Just this. I know it sounds silly, but when you are buying something and you don't even know what's in it, well, then you don't buy it.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
uh, and even the German people, they were appreciating that I could speak some German, even if obviously my German was terrible and broken and the grammar was incorrect. But they didn't care. They were smiling at me because they were appreciative that
mm,
I was trying. I'm trying to, I'm not this foreigner who's going to stay in his expat bubble that we talked about.
mm,
So I think, me being a linguist, I will always encourage people to, the language, learn basic foreign language wherever you're going. It will open so many doors. And people will be so much more appreciative of you, because they will see, okay, he or she is trying.
mm,
And that's very, very important,
yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, you hear that a lot though, and I wonder whether people just don't believe the difference it's going to make, and they hear,
Yeah.
it will open doors, and you just think, well, it's all right, I'm getting by, and maybe, yeah, they're just not realizing just how much of a difference it will make.
Well,
Um,
then my answer to that would be, well, do you want to get by or do you want to live?
exactly, exactly,
So,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. I that's
Mm,
exactly what I was really
mm,
frustrated about my Portuguese once, and I just was saying to someone, and they said, "Oh, it's she the same had lived in Portugal a long time, wasn't making much of an effort." And she says, "Oh, it's all right, you can survive." And I said, "I don't want to. I don't want to survive. I want to thrive. I want exactly that. There's a big
mm,
difference with just surviving and getting by. Who wants to just survive? We want to live. We want to thrive. We want to experience. Yeah, you've hit
mm.
absolutely. Just you mentioned about not just experiencing a place from books and YouTube and whatever. I mean, you don't have to answer this, but I mean, you may not have even seen, but have you seen people with their YouTube channels showing France from their perspective, and how do they portray France? Does it come across as, oh, you know, they're leaving half of it out, that's not what it's like, or are they portraying it really true to life? And how do you feel that people on YouTube are, you know, showing their experience of France?
Honestly, I couldn't say because
Yeah,
I'm not watching.
very, yeah,
Which could sound weird, but I just spend so much time
yeah,
creating my videos that I don't have time to
yeah,
watch. And also, I don't really want to get influenced,
yeah,
by other people speaking about France. However, I can say that I have seen some without watching the actual videos because again, I don't have time. But by sometimes I see some thumbnails, and I'm like, what? Um, there is this kind of running gag on my channel because I very often wear a beret,
yeah,
typical French hat. And I've had this hat for years. I did not buy this hat for my channel. I just happen to wear it. I don't wear it all the time, but sometimes I do. And because I live in the French countryside, this is very normal and common. You go out to the supermarket, many men, sometimes women, have this hat. It's normal for us. But I guess it's not for some French people because have had some French people commenting
but
under
you're
my
putting it
videos
on. But,
saying that, oh, why are you this cliche of a Frenchman, blah, blah, blah. And like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Well, I'm guessing whoever is commenting actually lives in Paris, which we tend to say Paris is not France, French people. But there's a big difference if you live in a huge city and if you live in the countryside, which I would guess is the same situation for most countries. So on YouTube about French stuff, yeah, sometimes I just see some thumbnails kind of weird because they apparently say the opposite of what I'm saying, but that's fair. I mean, everybody's entitled to their vision, their opinion. So,
and France is a huge country, and I have. I mean, people say the same thing about Portugal as well, and I've heard people saying it all the time about France. You go out and people say bonjour, bonjour to you. I don't know where people are coming from, but for example, I'm in the UK at the moment. I took the dog for a walk this morning. I don't know how many people I said good morning to. So many. I mean, it's a Saturday morning, so there's a lot of people that would normally be at work or out for a jog, out for an extra long walk with the dog, feeling good. It's the weekend, but you say good morning to complete strangers, yet people would have you believe. I mean, that wouldn't happen in London, honestly, and it certainly wouldn't happen in London when you're commuting on the tube. People are looking very miserable and would look at you like you're crazy if you say hello to them. Like, who are you? I'm not. But so it's not even a country thing. I've even seen some videos of people comparing in the north of England to the south of England, the same thing. All people say hello to you, how are you, hey up, chuck, and all of that. And so it's not even country specific, but I don't know. But people just say, yeah, in Portugal, people say bon dia, boa tarde. In France, you just go to get out you just go out in the morning to get your bread to the coffee shop. Everybody says bonjour, but yeah, it certainly does. It certainly does happen here. And it certainly does happen in it. What I'm trying to say, it's not necessarily country specific. A lot of the behaviours and a lot of the experiences, it can be regional within the country, that whatever country you're talking about. And France is a huge country. So yeah.
yes.
Yeah. But, and as well, people talk about Portugal as if their little village and their little experience is Portugal. People will do the same with the UK, the same with France, and you can have a very different experience, whether it's city, whether it's rural, whether it's north, whether it's south. And yeah, there's a lot of I don't know, people take their experience and their opinion as fact and as if that's what everybody's going to experience, but it's not necessarily true. But back to what you say about experiencing it for yourself, not just reading books, watching YouTube, even if it's only for a week, whatever time you can manage, just experience it and enjoy it. But
Yeah, I think, I mean, I cannot, sometimes I think about that. I can't even imagine who I would be if, well, first of all, if I had not studied English, because that's studying English that allowed me to do that, because it started with going to England. But I can't imagine what my life would be if I had not traveled like this and lived abroad. And also this experience, especially if it's combined with a job, for example, living abroad for a job,
difference as well.
It also has a very good value. And that's something I was not even thinking about or suspecting. But now that I'm back in France, on my resume, it says I've worked for this company in Germany for how many years? I worked for that company in England for that many years. On a French resume, it's not going to be that common to see that. So when you apply for a job, it happened more than once to me that people were kind of, I wouldn't say impressed, but they were like noticing, can you tell me more about this? Oh, that's interesting and blah, blah, blah. So you have let's say the life experience value, but if you are still working, I think you have this extra bonus. Well, that's redundant, extra bonus. This bonus to maybe to strengthen your resume. Because I think it shows it's very positive. It shows you're not afraid to take risks, challenges on. Maybe because you've lived abroad, you acquire linguistic skills that you didn't have before. So I guess it would be maybe my conclusion. I think all in all, living abroad for a few years and coming back, you come back with a lot. Like you come back with a completely different, with your eyes open on your own culture, your own language. You come back maybe with a better resume. And I think it really changes you as a person on a human level. It changed me, and I cannot really imagine if you live in a different country and you're exposed to a different culture for several years without changing you. I doubt that.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Well, very interesting. Thanks for the chat. Just back to your channel. So, French lifestyle. What sort of videos can we expect to see on your channel? And what do you talk about? And what will you be talking about?
So, the channel is very, very young. It's about 4 months old only. So I'm still in the testing phase.
But growing so fast as well.
Yes, but I'm very aware that it's very important on YouTube to be consistent. And once you have to choose your, niche from the start and not deviate from that, because YouTube does not like that. So anyway, to answer your question, I'm targeting 2 different aspects. The French culture in general, hence lifestyle. So I can have videos on how to get integrated into a French village. If you want to open a French bank account, what documents you need, stuff like this, like everyday life stuff. But because I also have a background in real estate, I know quite a lot about French real estate, so how to buy a house, how to rent a house, how to renovate, because France is, that's true, the paperwork country, very heavy on paperwork. So I'm trying to help people as much as I can with those videos. So it's a 50-50 more real estate oriented. If you are interested in buying a house in France, all the steps, the things you should do before, the traps you should avoid. And I think it goes hand in hand with lifestyle, because once you're here, you've bought your house, again, you're going to live here and not get by. So if you want to live here, there's a lots of things you should be aware of, how to behave in the French culture, that sort of thing. So hopefully that's what you get on my channel.
Yeah. And can I just say as well, I mean, you're take a subject like opening a bank account or some kind of formal process. I don't think I would not watch a channel on doing something in a country that I have no interest to move into. But your videos are so entertaining that I think even if you're not moving to France or it's exactly France that you're interested in, I think you could watch the videos anyway. I mean, you have such wit and you're such a wordsmith. You just, I don't know, I think they're very entertaining. And because I was just talking about France, a friend sent me a link and said, oh yeah, have a look at this guy's channel. I think you'd only had about 3 videos up at the time, but straight away I was just like, oh, I like this channel, I like this guy. It's very entertaining. If you're going to talk about something boring like opening a bank account or, I don't know, setting up a tax number or doing a bit of bureaucratic process, you make it very interesting. You deliver it in a really interesting way. So yeah, it's good. I like it. I like the channel.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I try because I'm a strong believer in humor, and I think that if you talk about very dry topics, even real estate, I think is a dry topic in general. And I've seen many videos about French real estate, and to me, it's so boring because it's like, okay, you can't do a YouTube video and make it like a PDF file. It's not gonna. It's boring.
Yeah.
Then do a PDF file. Don't do a YouTube video.
Yeah. Like a
I think
presentation or something. Yeah.
Yes, I think most people come on YouTube first and foremost to be entertained. And I think entertainment is not the enemy of information. You can have both at the same time. Yes, it takes more work because you have to balance it. But that's what I'm trying to do, because I was a teacher before. I've been a teacher for 5 years. So I think I have a knack for this, hopefully. So I do want to try to teach in my own way to show that it's not that hard. It's not that complicated. I mean, come on. I've moved to Germany without speaking a word of German, and I got by. So if I did that, you can do it too. And yeah, that's why I try to make it funny, entertaining, because I think I think if people get a few laughs out of a video, even if the original topic is dry, then hopefully they will remember it. It's going to stick because they will associate this topic with a joke or something like this. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, and you're definitely doing it well, because I mean your growth is evidence of that. So thank you. Yeah, your big difference between my channel and your channel, an amateur over here and very well done over there. But no, so thank you, and I'm enjoying the videos, and I hope some of my audience will be introduced to your channel and enjoy hearing a bit about France and French lifestyle. So thank you. And
well, thank you very much for having me, and I knew it would be a very interesting conversation. I really thought this topic was definitely worth tackling.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot. See ya.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye.